Chapter 13, in which Eleonora discovers an unexpected use for soap and water, and Cimorene has difficulty with the dragon. Antoro looked past Cimorene and Eleonora as if they were not there, and spoke directly to the Stone Prince. I told Father someone was listening. He won't be happy when he finds out I was right, but he'll feel better when I tell him I've taken care of things. He might even let me have the first look in the king's crystal, once Wara gives it to us. So that's what you're after, Cimorene said. Antoro favored her with a superior smile. Quite right, Princess. The king's crystal will show us the whereabouts of every piece of useful and interesting magic in the world. All we have to do is go out and pick them up. Somehow, I don't think it will be that easy, she murmured. We knew Tokaz would never give it to us, but Warrug will, as soon as he's king of the dragons. He'll have to, or we'll tell everyone how we were the ones who made sure he was the new king. Of course we can't afford to have anybody around who might make awkward revelations. I doubt that dragons will listen to a couple of hysterical princesses. But he, Antoro pointed at the Stone Prince, will have to go. What are you going to do? Eleonora demanded. She was plainly frightened, and Cimorene could see that her knuckles were white with the force of her grip on the handle of the scrub bucket. Oh, gravel seems appropriate, don't you think? Antoro said. No one will notice a few more rocks around here. Ought I be taking this person seriously? The Stone Prince said in a rather doubtful tone. You better if you don't want to end up as a lot of little pebbles, she answered. She still sounded frightened, but she seemed to be getting a grip on herself. He's a wizard. You wouldn't be talking about gravel if you were the one who had to sweep the floor, Cimorene said to Antoro. She stepped forward as she spoke, hoping to get between Antoro and the Stone Prince before Antoro noticed what she was doing. She didn't think he was good enough wizard to do any real harm, but there was no point in taking chances. Stay where you are, Princess, he commanded. I'll deal with you in a moment. Must you be so theatrical? She said to him. Theatrical? You think I'm being theatrical? He said furiously. I am simply showing a proper respect for the importance of this moment. You're showing off, she said flatly. And you're not doing it very well. He doesn't sound much like a wizard to me, the Stone Prince said. Is he always like this? Enough, he cried, and raised his staff. Light shimmered along its length and began to gather at the lower end. Grinning wolfishly, the wizard tilted the staff, aiming it toward the Stone Prince. Stop that, Eleonora said. Antoro ignored her. I said, stop it, Eleonora shouted and threw her bucket at Antoro's head. Her aim was off. The bucket had hit his shoulder. A bolt of fire shot from the end of his staff and whizzed between Cimorene and the Stone Prince to strike the far wall with a whooping noise and a shower of sparks. Antoro staggered, slipped in the cascade of soapy water, and fell over the bucket, dropping his staff in the process. Cimorene darted in and kicked Antoro's staff out of his reach. He stared up at her from the mound of soggy silk and soap suds. You can't do this to me, he shrieked. Something in his voice made Cimorene and her friends look at him more closely. Eleonora's eyes went wide, and Cimorene blinked in surprise. He's collapsing, she said in a stone voice. He's melting, she corrected her. I can't be melting, he cried. I'm a wizard. It's not His head disappeared into a small brown puddle, and his cries stopped. There was a moment of silence. I thought it was witches who melt when you dump water over them, the Stone Prince said at last. It is, usually, Cimorene said. What on earth did you put in that bucket, Eleonora? Just water and soap and a little lemon juice to make it smell nice, she said. Said Cimorene, thinking hard. I bet there's a simpler way of melting wizards, but we don't have time right now to figure out what it is. How many buckets can you get a hold of in a hurry? Buckets? Eleonora said. 2, counting this one, and I suppose I can borrow one from Haliana. That's 3. And I've got 2 in the kitchen, and I expect the iron kettle is big enough. That's 6 altogether. 2 for each of us. You will help, won't you? Cimorene added, turning to the Stone Prince. Of course, the prince assured her. Help with what? Stopping those wizards. We can't let them make Warrog the next king of the dragons by trickery. I don't see how we can stop them, Eleanor said to her. I don't see how we can stop them. We can't possibly get to the Fort of Whispering Snakes before the trials start, and even if we could, I don't know where the wizards will be hiding. If we tell the dragons that Warrog's trying to cheat, they'll stop the trials, Cimorene said with more confidence than she felt. That will give us time to find the wizards, and I've got a way to get us to the fort. You start collecting buckets. I'll meet you at your place after I get the things I need from Kazul's. What about... Eleanor gestured with distaste at the wet, messy lump of robes in the center of the puddle. That was all that remained of Antoril. We'll clean it up when we get back. This is more important. Eleanor nodded, and the three left the banquet room. The Stone Prince decided to accompany Eleanor since he was not a fast walker, and Cimorene had farther to go. She left them when they reached the main tunnel and ran back to Kazul's cave. There she went straight to her room and opened the drawer where she kept odds and ends. In the back left-hand corner, carefully wrapped in a handkerchief, were the 3 black feathers she had taken from beneath the left wing of the bird she had killed in the enchanted forest. She shoved the whole packet into her pocket without bothering to unwrap it, and went to the kitchen to collect her buckets. Then she hurried through the tunnels to Warrog's cave, where Eleanor and the Stone Prince were waiting. When she arrived, she found the Stone Prince pumping water to fill Eleanor's 3rd bucket, while Eleanor mixed soap and lemon juice into the 2nd. Cimorene set her pots and pails next to the pump and went to help Eleanor. Now what? Eleanor said when all the buckets were full of cleaning mixture. Cimorene reached into her pocket and dug out the package. Gently she unfolded the handkerchief and removed one of the feathers, noticing as she did that the package also contained the pebble she had picked up in the caves of Fire and Night. If we each take 2 buckets, can we still link elbows without spilling too much? She asked. Eleanor and the Stone Prince looked at each other and shrugged, and picked up 2 buckets each. Cimorene took the last bucket and the iron pot, holding the handle of the pot with the only 3 fingers so that she can keep a grip on the feather with her thumb and forefinger. A series of awkward maneuvers followed as Eleanor and the Stone Prince tried to link elbows with Cimorene without losing their balance or dropping one of the buckets. In the process, Cimorene's skirt got soaked. It's a good thing I'm not a wizard. Ready? Here we go. She twisted her hand toward the edge of the iron pot and let go of the black feather. I wish we were at the Fort of Whispering Snakes, she said, as the feather fell and the room dissolved around them. They materialized at the very edge of a river on a flat, narrow rock that jutted out over the water, and Eleanor immediately slipped on the wet stone. If the Stone Prince had not been so solid and heavy, all 3 of them would have fallen into the river. As it was, it took Cimorene and Eleanor several seconds to regain their balance. When she was finally sure of her footing, Cimorene breathed a sigh of relief and quickly looked about her. The Fort of Whispering Snakes was crowded. Dragons of all sizes and shades of green lined the banks of the river, filled the spaces beneath the towering trees of the enchanted forest. On the far bank, a pale dragon was poring over a parchment list that Cimorene thought she remembered seeing during one of the many errands she had run the previous night. All the dragons seemed to be talking at once, and none of them noticed Cimorene or her friends. "Hello, dragons!" Cimorene shouted, trying to make herself heard above the noise. "Here now, what's all of this?" an olive-green dragon on the bank demanded, turning. "Someone's trying to sneak a look at the trials." "Sneaks!" hissed a soft, but nonetheless clearly audible voice from somewhere near Cimorene's feet. Cimorene jumped and looked down, but though she craned her neck to see all around her, she could not find the second speaker. "Get rid of them before Trom comes back with Colin Stone," another dragon advised. "We aren't trying to sneak in, and we don't care about watching the trials," Cimorene told them, wishing she dared to look around for Kazul. "We came to warn you about the wizards." "Wizards?" a soft voice echoed. "Wizards?" The olive-green dragon said skeptically. "There aren't any wizards here." "No, but they figured out some way of interfering with your choice of the next king. They're hiding somewhere. You have to put off the trials with Colin Stone until we can find them and stop them. If you'll just tell Kazul we're here—" "Put off the trials?" the olive-green dragon interrupted. "Impossible. They've been underway for half an hour. We can't just stop in the middle. Who are all you people anyway?" A flicker of motion caught Cimorene's eye, and she looked down just in time to see a thin red snake dart from one clump of weeds to the next. "Sneaks," whispered the soft voice an instant later. "Sneaks and wizards." I wasn't asking you, the dragon said severely in the general direction of the snake, and whatever they are, they're certainly not wizards. They look like somebody's princesses to me, a blue-green dragon said. Pity that. It would be so much simpler to eat them and get them out of our way. Are you sure? Said a third dragon. The one on the end doesn't look like a princess. I'm beginning to think this wasn't such a good idea, the stone prince told them. He may not be a princess, but he doesn't look edible either, the blue-green dragon pointed out. And these other two are definitely princesses. You can't go eating them out of hand. Princesses, hissed the voice from under the rock. Oh, princesses, the olive-green dragon said. No wonder they're so full of wild tales. It's true, Cimorene told them desperately. If you don't believe us, take us to Kazul. She will. I can't do that, the olive-green dragon told her, shocked. Kazul's third in line now, after Mazarin and Warrog. You can't talk to people who are that close to making their attempt with the stone. It would distract them. Warrog? Eleanor said. Warrog's next in line? Yes, he should be starting off any minute now, said the olive-green dragon. Then comes Mazarin, and then Kazul. I don't expect it will take long, though. Nobody carried the stone for more than a mile or two yet. But I'm Kazul's princess. I don't care who you are, the dragon replied crossly. You can't talk to Kazul until she's done with her turn. That'll be too late, she cried. You don't understand. Warrog and the wizards. I've had enough of your wizards, the olive-green dragon told her. You're a confounded nuisance, and you ought not to be pushing your way in here where you're not wanted. Go away. Cimorene, what are we going to do? Eleanor asked as the olive-green dragon turned and stalked determinedly away. At Hero School, we were always taught that if you couldn't persuade anyone to help you with something, it meant that you were supposed to do it by yourself. The Stone Prince told them, and we are prepared. He lifted one of his buckets slightly. But we don't know where the wizards are, Eleanor said. We have to find them before we can stop them, and there isn't time. Stop the wizards, whispered the soft voice. That's the first sensible thing you've said since we got here, Cimorene told him in a hissing whisper. Can't you just wish to be where the wizards are? The Stone Prince asked Cimorene. No, you have to know where you're going, or the spell doesn't work. For a moment, all three were glumly silent. Cimorene stared at the water, remembering how and where she had gotten the feathers. Suddenly, she raised her hand. We may not know where the wizards are, but I'll bet I know someone who can find out. Hold this for a minute. Cimorene handed one of her buckets to Eleonora, then dug out the packet of feathers. She pulled the second feather from the packet and grabbed Eleonora's elbow. Hold tight, everybody. I wish we were at Morwen's house, Cimorene said, and dropped the feather. The scenery shifted abruptly, and they were standing on Morwen's porch. The house was just as tidy-looking as Cimorene remembered, and the porch floor gleamed as if it had been just washed. A black and white cat, startled by their sudden appearance, fell off the porch railing. Four others left off their washing to stare at her with unwinking green and yellow eyes. I need to talk to Morwen, she told the cats. It's an emergency. A lean tiger-striped cat rose and oozed through a crack in the door. Cimorene unwound herself from Eleonora and the Stone Prince and set her bucket on the porch floor. I hope this works, she muttered to herself, as Eleonora and the prince placed their bucket beside hers. In Chapter 14, in which the wizards try to make trouble, and Cimorene does something about it.